Well, my same screen up here. All right, so yeah, what I want to cover in this one, now that we've covered Autodesk, getting it loaded, I'll turn those off. I don't need them. I'm just uh, talking about just opening the program. Um, what I want to show you is what I'm going to kind of follow as my guideline. I am kind of following a guide here. I used to make you guys answer questions out of this book, so I'm going to go into our course here. I just want to show you where my guide is that I'm following a little bit, and uh, and then due to my specifics, I might jump into some sections a little earlier than they would point out in this book. But it's just because of my job as a drafter is to make prints and PDFs, and so sometimes they don't tell you that until later in this book. But at the beginning of this, I will turn this. I think my volume is good, so I don't know why it's tripping out. But let me look at what you look like when you go into this. It's pretty. I don't have a ton of content uploaded yet to this, but I have enough to get started. So we covered week one last week. I don't think there's anything else going on there. It's pretty much done. I haven't even. Oh, you guys don't even see week two yet. Oh, I haven't even I must have not. Oh, hold on. Let me. This is good. Let me publish my second week because I think there is some stuff here. I thought I published it. Oh, it's right here that I haven't published. Publish at all items, please, except for this. Okay. Now you should have some week two stuff. It's really, yeah, sorry. Glad I checked that. So hopefully now, I don't know. How long does it take for it to publish? Obviously not instantly. Let me see. Do you guys can you guys see a week two under this yet? I know okay. Okay, good. If I go to this, maybe I just had to refresh. So now you got a week two. Good. Week one, I said I'm collapsing because pretty much the last thing which I will cover tomorrow is oh no, that's never mind. It was the scales and labeling that I promised I would cover tomorrow morning, which is a theory assignment that I turned off the due date, but we'll do it together, get some measurement practice. Um, I kind of discussed that with my math students earlier for you guys that came in at the 9 o'clock hour. But week two, yeah, our week two schedule looks like we're just going to um, work on a template, maybe work on a drawing for sure. Okay, I like it. And just setting up our environment a little bit. What I wanted to show you is in the resources for this. I will populate some more stuff here today, but let me go through this a little bit. We've already gone through the syllabus. This one will be handy. Resources for AutoCAD is a great place to that we will have I have my templates already uploaded. We're gonna these already have a fair amount of work done. I'm gonna make you kind of start from scratch before you get to these points. But what I have here is we have a document about line types and line weights. You've learned about that a little bit, in the pencil world, like they would really only have like a heavy and a light. That was because that's all they had access. I mean, they could either push hard with their pencil or push lighter. So they would really do light and dark lines. And that was kind of their line weight. They wouldn't do like a whole different I mean, it was just hard with a pencil to do anything but light and dark. And then, of course, you could change line types, and that's obviously how they would differentiate between what was going on with their pencil drawings. We can replicate that in CAD. We just have to set up some layers in CAD and the associated line weights and maybe some color coding. And so there is kind of an ASME. Uh, I say it's ASME, but I say it's ASME loosely because I don't feel like there's a real hard ASME standard for line types, line weights, and layer creation. Like, so I think some industries kind of like come up with their own color coding, line type, line weight standard, but I think there are some standards to work from. So what I have up here is a good reference sheet. Whether I can truly call it ASME is maybe in question, but it is what we're going to use for our course. Um, and all that is a PDF, and then I'll show you how to actually work from it. Uh, the different templates that we have available is what I call an ISU inch template. It will have the option between an A and a B size sheet on that. And an A size inch template means it's on our letter size paper, 8.5 by 11. And a B size sheet is mostly, so I don't use A size sheet a lot. We use it a little bit at the beginning of the semester, but then we kind of abandon it and go to the ruler of mechanical inch drafting is going to be B size sheet. And then, of course, because we do need to be familiar with the metric differences, I have a specific A3 and an A4 size sheet, which are kind of like a letter and a B size sheet. I mean, the A3 and A4 are kind of like an A and B size in the inch world. But then I also have a template that includes all the different sheet sizes. So I have an ASME inch template that it actually has many more pages down below. And when I get to the environment, I'll point these out. But what it is, it has like all my sheet sizes. So I think A through E maybe are captured on that particular template. And maybe the title block is just a little bit more formal. I can't remember if these title blocks I think are a little bit fancier than what we start with. And then of course I have just that in B size sheet only. And then I have that in A3 or in all metric size sheets. And then I have an A3 size sheet only. So really, these are almost all kind of the same a little bit. It's just that I've really made a template that is specific to some sheet sizes. So I like to have a template that has all my options of sheet sizes. Then I have a template that has a couple of options of sheet sizes. And then I have a template that just has one sheet size. And the reason why that is because eventually as we go on, we just end up we end up using primarily B size and A3 size sheets. But early on, we try to help you build the foundation of what the differences are. And so these are where I keep my templates, and these would open in CAD if I open these. These are what I want. What I want to point out is that these file types are .dwt, and so we'll come back to what that means. But these are specific drawing template files that AutoCAD will open as a template, which means I will kind of go into this a little bit. What we create in CAD is we create files, drawings, but really I like to think of it as a family structure, like the parents of our files and our drawings are templates. And templates we create and we customize, and then we save it as a template. And then that thing is like where it was like I go to start a drawing. And so from my parent that is called a DWT template file, from that, I will open that up. Say I've customized it. I like everything. I've even got a text and a border, a title block. It's got the sheet sizes I need. I'm ready to draw on this thing. When I open that template file, I immediately save it as a drawing, a .dwg file. So what my template files create is they create children. And one of those children that we'll work with is a .dwg file. It's a drawing file. So I don't like, and this fumbles students all the time, is they end up like opening their template, going to town drawing, saving it, and they realize they totally like messed up their template. It's not this like clean slate to start every drawing from. Now their template file has a bunch of drawing crap on it because they just forgot to, when you open your template file, you immediately want to create a drawing file to draw on just to keep your template fresh, clean. And when you need to make an adjustment to your template, you open the template up, you make an adjustment, you save it as a template, and then it's ready for the next one. So it's kind of a living organism. It's like this parent is going to create children from it. And .dwgs are not the only kind of file that I can create from my template file, but that is the one that we're going to start with. So I just wanted to point out the difference between a DWT. So anytime you see this DWT, that should immediately tell you, hey, those are template files. And then if you see something with a .dwg, oh, that's a drawing file. And in your file structure on Microsoft Windows or whatever, it might have the icon that's also helpful to identify those. The DWT files are kind of red and white icon, and the DWG files are generally like blue and yellow. So there is like a little icon that should catch your eye to verify the differences. But that's all I've loaded. What I am going to load today that's not here right now is the shortcut menu. So with CAD, there's a lot of different ways I can run CAD. There's a lot of different runs. I can take down a ski hill. There's a lot of different ways people like to run CAD. Some people love keyboard shortcuts, and we'll talk about those. I will load a file that's a PDF. It comes from Autodesk. They have them on Autodesk's website. You can just download the keyboard shortcuts for whatever program, and they change from program to program, although some of them are the same. Like some keyboard shortcuts in one program are different in another, but generally they're pretty, like what you learn in AutoCAD for keyboard shortcuts are going to benefit you in other programs. And the funny thing is, I think some students get used to using their keyboard shortcuts, but the way I always drive is I drive from not using that as much because it's not as clear if I'm not recording the visual of my keyboard or what my hands are doing, unless I audibly tell what I just did on the keyboard. It's always easy for me to just point and click with the mouse and have it on screen. And that's one reason why I drive the way I do when I teach, is because you won't see what my keyboard hand is doing. Although you might see the prompt box show up. It's not to say I don't do it, but okay, that's a little bit of a tangent. But these are the resources we have that will affect us all semester. Resources for AutoCAD. The other thing so what I use as a reference book is this CAD book from 2020. And so I've uploaded I think it's just 8 chapters. I would hand this out to you guys and you'd answer a bunch of questions out of it. I'm just going to make sure that I cover the questions in my little video lectures here. So like we would cover like chapter 1 and maybe 2 by next week. And they're pretty simple. I just try to make sure that if I open one here, um, I think this maybe will load kind of fast. Yeah, it's just another PDF scan of a textbook. It's an AutoCAD textbook, so there's a lot of imagery, and they try to like take screenshots of what they're doing. Um, and a lot of this first chapter is just getting familiar with the user interface. So let's go through some of this stuff. I just want to show you that this is where I'm referencing anything that I might talk about. And I might not hit it all, but at the end of these chapters, there was always a question set. So I encourage you to become familiar with the answers to some of these questions are. Let me go all the way down. Usually the questions are at the very end of the chapter, like most books. 1 point something, and there might be a dozen questions or something. Saving your work. I don't know. Well, maybe I didn't see the questions. Maybe they didn't scan in the questions. Okay, that's good for me to check. I don't think they did. So I'll upload what the questions are. I have them actually in a Word doc form. I can upload what the questions are. I just said I don't want to make you do it. I don't know if there was huge value added. It was just more questions to do. And I just wanted to do more drawings myself. So, okay, I'm glad to see. I don't think the questions are even in there, so that's even okay. I'll just make sure I answer them in my lectures. But this is kind of my reference manual. So with that being said, I'm actually on your desktop, probably looks maybe different than mine, but I think we're all running Windows 11 in this. So I think I've just changed my screen to this, but you can feel free to customize yours, but it'll be wiped. So it'll always go back to the little blue ribbon thing probably. Uh, so you guys should have AutoCAD loaded, like it might be just on an icon here, AutoCAD 2025. The big A CAD is what I'm looking for. I always load mine to my bottom toolbar here, but essentially I just want to open this up. So sometimes that's a double click on wherever it is. Open CAD, it should look like this. It goes to like a start menu is maybe what they call this. So it'll look different. Yours should look drastically different than mine. Like you shouldn't have any files that you've opened unless you've been playing around already. But mine just shows me like this panel is just recent stuff that I've had open. And it keeps a pretty good list for months and months about what you've had open. So I have a bunch of stuff having used it that is immediately available to me. But this is just the start menu. It's slightly an inactive menu. Like I'm getting kind of the environment of what CAD is, but a lot of it's grayed out. It's not active. And so in the start menu, you really only have access to open something, to start working on something, to begin a drawing. So you have about 4 different ways on how to begin a drawing here. But let me just say the very, very top of this thing is your user quick access toolbar, maybe is what they call this. So your quick access toolbar has where you would sign in to run this, you probably don't have to sign in all the time because this is where you would sign in though with your credentials to sign into Autodesk. Yeah. Yeah, I think like why you would need to sign in is if we're sometimes downloading sometimes families or we're trying to download files from Autodesk because there's a ton of content on Autodesk. They have they have all kinds of add-ons that I could download from them. The problem is if you spend a bunch of time customizing these particular computers, it's going to be wiped to default every time. So you'd probably have to sign in every day if you're going to do that. But a lot of times the work we can do for a while, it actually doesn't matter if we're signed in or not, as long as we have the program loaded. So I just want to show you that this is where you sign in. Heck yes. And then this is where we can open a document or we can create a new one. So we can create a new drawing file here. If If I click that, it's just going to ask me to, what do you want to create? Usually it's going to go like, if you click on that, if you clicked on, I'm just going to close up. If you click on create a new one, probably should go to something like this. Where this drove to is where it loaded template files when you downloaded the program. So it's already driving you. It's like default function is to look for a template file. So it's already looking for a .dwt file. And so anytime you're like going to create a new one and you use that quick access, it's already looking in the template file that it loaded. And if your templates live somewhere else, you may have to browse to where that is, use a folder browse. Mine are actually live in my course that I've created, my 1108 course. And in my general area of my course, my file structure that I've created on my thumb drive is where in my general area is where I keep my templates. So these same templates that I have on my thumb drive are what I've loaded into the Canvas course. They kind of have the same little descriptions, but these are where I keep my templates. They're slightly different from where this program wants to look for templates. It's going to go to its template file here. And we'll talk about what the specifics are to these. The ones that are preloaded are already kind of they have some pre-programmed stuff that'll help me sometimes go to right to 3D, sometimes draw in metric so that the unit's already in metric and other ones in CAD. And so I have to kind of become familiar with what these ones mean. But some of them are kind of self-explanatory. Um, I will say to start, we will probably start with just the ACAD. It's like AutoCAD as simplified as it can be. That one is in inch units. The unit's already set to inch. And I'll wait a minute before I open this one, but there's ACAD 3D, which just means the environment is set up to draw 3D. Because AutoCAD, where it was traditionally a 2D based software, because 3D modeling is all the rage, and most companies, like you will hear an INL employer come in here and they'll say, we use Inventor and AutoCAD. And you'll ask them, well, how much of the percentage of the time to use Inventor versus AutoCAD? And some of them will say, we're like 98% Inventor and 2% AutoCAD. And so 3D modeling definitely is where mechanical drafting is in the modern world. But like I've told you, AutoCAD is the mothership and there's still legacy documents to manage. And so when they say there's still 22% of the time they're using CAD, it still means I need to be familiar with it and comfortable using it and knowing that it's quite a bit different than Inventor. But in the modern 2025, 2026, I don't even know when 3D entered CAD, but probably in the teens. Until I started teaching last year here, I hadn't ran 3D CAD since 2018, and it was way better in 2025 than it was in 2018. So they keep upgrading how good some of just CAD's 3D capabilities are. And then anything with ISO is going to be a metric-based template. So it's probably going to be in millimeters as the units. And so I kind of avoid the named plot styles and plot styles 3D. I kind of avoid those and just go to the ones with regular. So the ones we're probably going to use initially are going to be this AutoCAD simple little template file. And we might use this AutoCAD ISO, which is going to be a metric one. And the 3D ones will catch late in this semester. But what I want to show you is when you go to open with CAD, it always wants to look for a template file. If you were looking for a drawing file, you just probably need to remember to look for that file type down here. It's searching for only .dwt files as a default. So if you drop down this list, we get some of the more common types of other things to look for to start a drawing, which can be a .dwg file. Of course, if I'm looking in that file, they do have a couple for me that I could open that were part of the download process. So even when you guys download this program on your computer at home, you're going to have some stuff already to mess with. And these two would be some of them maybe here, but so this is the difference in the icon too, is the little, I said blue and yellow for the icon for drawing files, and what is it? And then it's red and white for template files. So just keep track of that icon being different. It's a nice indicator. Okay, so with that, I'm not going to open anything just yet. I'm still in the start menu. You can also open a file here from one that you have. So this is going to drive down to maybe the last browser that you were open. I think this one will usually go to, I don't know, right here it went to the same template file to open from, but you can drive down and find maybe where I had a drawing file in week 1. Maybe I had nothing in week 1, but week 2. I have still looking for template files. Here's some drawing files. Yeah, this is my own files that I would look for. So just get used, just a normal Windows browser, looking for your files that you may have to open, close, or create new. You can also, the A always has a pretty powerful drop down here. It's pretty simplified right here. So this little drop down on the A icon up in the upper left will also be where I can get my quick access to recent files I've had. I can open a new one here or open an existing one here. Maybe I can convert one here. It's I have some other options here. When I actually go into the drawing space, this changes a little bit here. It gives me a few more options when I'm actually in a drawing. It's pretty much simplified in a start menu, but it's another place to open a new and see my recent files. Another place is here, right? Like you can open here. So it's like three different places to open the same, to do the same thing, which is kind of, it becomes annoying with the CAD in a little bit. There's like always four ways to get to the same thing. You just become with whatever way you started drawing and you'll get a flow that you like better, I think. But this would be like to open files. This will probably open the same. It's going to go to it wants to build from a template first. So it goes to the same file structure. If it was a new one, it gives me generally right here, you might not have what I have, but like if I'm going to create a new one from this drop down, it's going to preload maybe the last ones that I used. And so that's kind of a quicker way than maybe looking through that file structure is just whatever you start using. Sometimes it's available from this drop down menu. If I tend to probably open and create new from right here more than I do from up here or from here, but it's just whatever works for you. I'm on the start menu. How I know that is because it says start right here. And so you can also create new by this little plus button right here. This one is a new drawing. So maybe I'll just click this one first. And then it should take you to the model space here. Mine because my computer doesn't get wiped every night. It's going to look like some of the customization that I've done. Yours is probably all black and you probably don't have this little properties tab. So I'm going to get rid of that and I'll show you where I got it. But so I don't know, move this down here out of the way. So now what I've done is I've actually just pushed that plus button and I'm into a drawing. It says it's even named it a unique number or a name already. It's called drawing one. So if I just talked about now what's become active is I still have my quick access up top. It's changed a little bit. I still can sign in here. It's added a few more things where I can save or save as some mobile capabilities here and go right to plotting or printing right here. So it'll go right to a print menu. So this has changed. This is customizable though too, I think. Like, do I left click up top? I can add other icons here, I'm pretty sure. Right here, maybe. This little drop down, it's kind of hiding. The checked ones, this is really routine in CAD. Uh, the checked ones I have are the ones that are loaded on my quick access, and the ones that are not checked are ones that I'm available to add. And so I can expand, or you might find that there's reasons why you'd want to add a batch plot or whatever, or you might not need all of these. You might find that we don't do a lot of saving to web and mobile. So if I uncheck this, it just disappears from one of my quick access options. So you find those customizations right there. You can set it up however you want. Open for mobile or web. Maybe I'll turn that one off. But this is where like my go-to is I usually save right here. Some people will just do like a Q save or they'll do a keyboard shortcut to save. That's totally fine. I tend to always like click here to save or to do a save as. And if we check, I'm still just staying here. We're going to be training wheels for a bit here, but underneath the icon now, this should have changed a bit too. Like I should have a few more options. Yeah. So now that I'm in a model, and have potential to do a lot more things with it. My ribbon menu is active. And let me go back and talk about what that is. Your ribbon menu is this, when they say the ribbon, it's this whole thing above, right? Like you're used to Word, you're used to PowerPoint. They all have different ribbon menus. So I drive from the ribbon menu mostly, and it has these tabs. So every tab has a different ribbon menu. So here's your home one. Maybe it's the most commonly used. The ribbon menus are also customizable. Like if I come over here to like a blank space way over here on the right, I can right click and I can start to customize what I might have on my home tab. And so I'm not going to change anything yet. I'm going to run it pretty default. I don't think I've ever customized what I put on my home tab. I can't remember, but it might look a little different than yours if I have added some stuff. But we get drawing, we get modification tabs, we get annotation, we get the layer manipulation, we can make blocks. We get the properties of what we're drawing with, line types, line weights. We get some measurement stuff and some calculator options. Groups I don't use a lot. If I were to hide one, I could probably get rid of this one because I just don't use it a lot. I use my clipboard for like pasting, copying from the internet, bringing stuff in. Sometimes I bring imagery in and I trace it. And so I might do that from here. And then I can change, yeah, I don't, I would say my view, I don't change till I'm in the 3D world a little bit, but so all of these tabs will change, right? If I go to the insert tab, I have a bunch of different functions that are associated with insert. Annotate really has a lot more functionality of dimensioning my drawings right here. The annotate tab is generally where I'm actually go to when I dimension. Like I might snap a few dimensions from this simplified annotation tab on the home page, but the annotate tab has a lot more capability than just the simple quick access on the home tab there. So this is all about annotations, text, and really documenting my drawings. Parametric we get into later in the semester. So this is a different way of drawing. It's the way I actually prefer to draw, but I don't draw it till the end of the semester. Parametric modeling is kind of more associated with how we would draw in Inventor. So you would see a lot of traditional AutoCAD users probably don't draw parametrically in CAD, but anyway, I will show you how to use this and I'll show you why I like it. Um, View. So yeah, there's a lot of different changes we can do to our view, and some of this we will use. The main thing I want to point out here is this properties panel. That's what I had up on mine that I got rid of. This is one that I like to always keep docked, and we'll come back to it though. I just want to point out that is what I actually minimize that I always usually have open and docked is my properties tab. So it just gives me a quick access to properties of lines and everything that I've got going on, types of lines, and it gives me quick access to doing a lot of customization. So manage, yeah, we'll use this a little bit. This might be where I um, do some of the application setups so I could actually run it'll run macros, right? Yeah, I can actually upload a macro calculations I could bring in. So output, maybe what I'm going to plot to. So collaborate. We don't use a lot of like cloud collaboration, but this in industry you do use a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of sending files back and forth, bringing in people's files as references. So collaborate becomes, I think, under taught in this environment, and then you get into the industry and you wished you would have like covered collaboration more. So I'll see if I can, and then some express tools here, but definitely your home, insert, annotate. I feel like the first three are heavy hitters that I'm going to use all the time. I say home and annotate. Actually, if I pick two, it's going to be toggling between the home and the annotate tab a lot. So one more note here is this one. I pointed out this little drop down here, which is how you customize your quick access toolbar, the very top toolbar. But right here is also where we toggle between 3D modeling and 2D. So obviously the two options the main two options I have when I change is I can go to change to a 3D modeling. So like the newer versions of CAD, we can 3D model with it, and we will do this later in the semester. But you want to make sure that for these first 10 weeks of this class, or maybe a little longer, 12 weeks, we're going to be making sure that's on drafting and annotation. Like, let me click on this. I think it's going to change my ribbon, I think, or it's going to change some other menus. Oh, I need to move this, I think. I'm going to move that up to there. Can I move that over there? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. Oh yeah, if I click on this, let me just go to like 3D Basics, I think is the one we're going to use. Yeah. Your ribbon menu changes, and that might be the most noticeable thing that has changed here. But really what you are now is you're into a totally different type of drawing. I would say not, you're into a totally different type of modeling. And the way I would approach how to build stuff here is going to be more related to Inventor, actually, or getting stuff ready to 3D print. So if your home and insert and visualize menus look different than you're used to, it could be that you need to remember that this little drop down wants to be on drafting and annotation, which is really what I call 2D environment. I wish that said 2D drafting and annotation, but it doesn't. But yeah, this is our 2D environment. So we've got quick access toolbar, we've got a ribbon menu, we've got a bunch of commands to learn. When I say keyboard shortcuts, what it means is instead of having to come up here and click on these, I can just do a couple of keyboard entries, a couple letter entries. Um, and like for line, it's just L. A lot of times it's the first letter of what you want to do. If I wanted to draw a line and I input L, enter, it knows that I'm in a line command. So it's the same as me going up here and clicking line up here. Now I'm in the command here. You'll know you're in a command I think well, let me just back up a little bit. Let me see if I've got everything. Yeah. Let me just, I think I said I'd work top down here. So I know I've got just a few more minutes and I'm hope to wrap up just the user interface before I end today. And so let me just explain that these are where your files will show up across this. I only have like this one drawing open, but I can have a pile of drawings opened right here. And those drawings files can also have like piles of sheets associated with them. So anytime I open a drawing, it's going to be up here and it's going to show up here and I can have a bunch of them. I try to keep it fairly limited when I'm working so I don't get too many, but um, so this is where you keep track of which drawings you have open and how you can close them. You can just X them out, close them here. If you've done something on a drawing and it's changed from when you loaded it, it'll look like this. It'll look like it has a little asterisk behind it, which means that thing has been modified in some way. Sometimes it's not even something you've done. Sometimes it's just a matter of you entered a command and exited a command, and now it knows that you did something different that hasn't been saved, even though you didn't do anything. An asterisk will show up here to remind you that this has not been saved since something has been done, which could be just a matter of clicking onto it, going to a page, and really you haven't done much to it. But just keep track. If you see an asterisk, it means that something has not been saved. So keep an eye on that. And then those are your files and whatever you have open, great. Our modeling space here, we're going to draw in 1:1. So everything we draw, we're going to draw full size right here. This thing I can zoom out. So like the way I guess I need to talk about how I get around my mouse movements here and because this can be confusing for people is when I'm in the model space, I like that it shows an X and a Y. I like to usually keep track of that. It doesn't matter where you draw in this model space, but it does keep coordinates like you were used to doing in math, your UCS coordinate points. Everything in this quadrant from the X and Y origin point. This is the origin point right here is 0, 0 in the X and Y. So this is like when you were graphing stuff in math classes, X and Y, this is 0, 0 in a 2D world. Anything in this quadrant would be positive, right? Anything in this quadrant would be positive X, negative Y. Over in this quadrant would be negative X, negative Y. And over here would be negative X, positive Y. So really, and the computer is going to track that. Like anytime I click somewhere, it's going to keep track of what that coordinate point is. Like this is just me with my cursor. It looks like a crosshair. Mine's dark. You can change that to light, I think. But if I'm up in here, you can see that if I click anywhere in here, and yours might move a little differently because I don't know what you have on your status bar. We'll come down. That's at the bottom of your page. But if I just click anywhere though, it's giving me the coordinate point of where I just clicked, 55 point blah, 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 and 22. And down here, it's 44 and negative 21. So what I'm seeing is the XY values here. I can actually start to draw somewhere by coordinates if I wanted to. If there was a reason to have a drawing that had the coordinates specified, then I can actually draw by coordinates. And so anyway, I just want to show that you will see me primarily draw in pretty much like the X and Y coordinate where everything's positive here. And it's not for any reason that it's going to make a huge difference on my drawing. It's just me. I don't know. It's just like a habit of mine that I'm usually going to draw on this positive coordinate, unless I have reasons to me, there's strategic reasons. Like if I'm talking to a machinist, if I'm building drawings that maybe they're going to take the G code, which is just how a machinist is going to take my work that I've already done and just import it and have all the coding and it's going to be by coordinate point coding. It might make a difference that I keep track of where the origin point is. And so for a particular part that I might be drawing for a machinist, I might actually be keeping track of where my 0, 0 coordinate point is on that part. So anyway, long story short, it does matter, but initially it's not going to matter. Okay, so as I move down, you should have a command line, and this is a good thing to keep track of. Anytime you're in a command, there's usually a prompt that shows up down here to kind of help you remember what input maybe it's looking for. So if I'm in a line and it's like even my cursor point says specify first point, like I could pick anywhere to start this start this line, which is just a matter of clicking on line. I'm in a command now. You can even see my command line changes. It says specify first point. It says it at my cursor point, but it also, the command line is reading me out like, hey, specify first point. And then it says specify next point. See, my command line kind of changes when I'm moving on. It's going to give me some options. What it gave me here, if I look down here on the bottom, I know sometimes it's hard to see, but if I clicked a line and started, it gives me this little like bracketed word that says undo, and it has a blue U. That means if I just enter U on my with my keyboard, it will go into that function of my line. I can say undo. So if I'm here and I say U and I hit enter, that's how I like confirm a command. It just like undid what I just did. If that wasn't where I wanted to start that line, undo is the only like little special option I have to do. I could be like, oh, undo. Okay. So, anyway, I didn't quite get to everything, and I do want to cut it short because I know some people have to leave. Tomorrow when we pick up, we'll just talk about the command line. There's a whole bunch of little icons that are either blue or gray shaded at the bottom right. I need to cover those and what those are and how to customize them. And then on that same line are model and layout and any like new drawing, new, like I started a new drawing with that plus sign. It always kind of preloads two different layouts as just and they look like paper, and they should. We used to call them paper space. Model space is here, black, and paper space starts to look like a piece of paper. However, it's not formatted whatsoever. We don't know what the size of this paper is. I have to kind of approach it carefully and set it up how I want it. So anyway, and I can always add more paper layouts as I needed. So that's all I wanted to cover today, you guys. I think we can break for the day. Tomorrow, when we'll pick up right where we left off here and actually start drawing, making a template, and going to town on some CAD work. So that's all I have for today, you guys. I'll end this and I will post this. I always post them after